Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic indie creator interview. It's your Capers Air Cody, and we're keeping it geekly with our returning guest, Chris Moses. We're here to break down Control-Z, issue 1, 2, and 3, and some of your other previous works. I mean, Chris, you've, like, backstage, I was talking about it, stroking that ego a little bit. We'll do it live, too. You just been fucking slaughtering it, man. You've been killing it. I know, you know, having done this for about a year, 2 years, interviewing, I know there's so much that happens behind the scene. People don't get to see what it took to hit this level, but we're all seeing the work that you're producing, man. Holy shit, how have you been?
I've been good, man. I've just been grinding. I appreciate the kind words, dude. We still got, as I was saying, you know, we still got a long ways to go. There's a lot of people I'm trying to catch up to and surpass, so we're on the grind, but I appreciate it. And yeah, I've been good. I've just been working, and it's a lot of work, but it's also like, it's making comic books, dude. Like, how can you not want to just do that all the time, every day?
You know, we were talking about the gym a lot, and I feel like that kind of goes hand in hand with the creation process as well. Like, it gets so addicting, and you just get sucked into it so hard. I mean, do you find yourself like losing a lot of free time? Like do you have like a good balance, or is it one of those things like where you just get sucked into it? I mean, because when I hit you up this morning, I'm like, hey dude, like, let's get you on the show today. You got, you know, 48 hours, 45 as of right now. Let's get you on. And you're like, I'm writing right now. Like, you know, how does that work for you?
I mean, to be honest, I don't really have much of a balance personally. It's like I'm either doing comics or I'm at the gym basically, or maybe I'm cooking some food, but otherwise it's something generally about comics. I mean, I do everything myself other than the art. So, you know, I'm managing art teams, I'm writing all the scripts, and then I'm doing all the fulfillment now that we've gotten closer to, you know, a campaign every other month, and now hopefully this year closer to a lot more back-to-back campaigns. It's a full-time thing, and it's more than full-time, really. It takes up most of my life, but I think, I mean, it's like I said, it's making comic books, and yeah, just like with making gains at the gym, it's the same thing. You put in a lot of work that nobody really sees, and it's incremental work. It's a little bit by little bit. You know, you go to the gym, you do, you know, 3 sets of 10 one time at like 100 pounds. The next time you do 3 sets of 8 at 105. Like, you're always trying to push it up and get to that next level, and eventually you're doing the full stack of whatever workout you're doing for 3 to 12, and you're really killing it. And that's sort of where I'm trying to get to. I'm trying to push, you know, keep pushing it further and further. And yeah, it's a lot of grinding, and it's a lot of work that not a lot of people see. But when people do start to notice, just like when they start to notice you go to the gym, they're like, oh man, what did you do? Have you been doing that? Like, but they don't really see the work that you got to put in between, and really just being consistent and doing the thing.
You know, and I know for me, we're going to probably just be doing a lot of like references to the gym. Like, when I first started going, I noticed like calves and triceps were just like my strongest like areas. Like, I was just able to just like absolutely slaughter it. And it seems like for you, sci-fi has kind of been that, you know, that muscle for you, where it's just like you just like right off the rip have excelled at it. But let's take a step back. You had kind of a different type of story that you just recently funded not too long ago. Can you give us the campaign you just recently funded?
Are you talking about the Exorcist Club that I did? Yes,
yeah, because that's like a completely different spin than a lot of the work that I've seen come out from you.
Definitely. So even taking a step before that, we did Red Sea Legends, which just got sent out to everybody, which was a card game comic. And then before that was the real first step into something very different from, or that didn't resemble things that had come out from Red Sea Comics before, which was I Summoned a Demon and She's Kind of My Type. And yeah, I've been stepping into different genres and doing other things and showing that, you know, I'm not just a one-trick pony. You know, I'm trying to beat the allegations that I only do sci-fi, because I could do a lot. And so yeah, going back to the Exorcist Club, Stokes and I, obviously last year we had started a YouTube channel, but we both realized that we're not YouTubers, we're comic book creators. So we shifted our focus to making a book, and you know, we had a bunch of different ideas. We had some ideas that we were pitching around to some people. And then it just sort of, we got a spin on it, an idea that we had thought of before, that just became the Exorcist Club, and we hit the ground running, found an amazing artist, Dario Marconi, and with the help of Ignacio Demeglio, our lead editor at Red Sea Comics, and Mattia Secchi, the colorist, we were able to make a really awesome book, and did it really well at the very end of last year in December. And hopefully we have a bunch more books to come in that series specifically. And yeah, it's just, I've been doing sci-fi, but I've got other stuff I want to tell. And the Exorcist Club is just one of those different stories, and you should look out for more new things to come, especially, maybe coming next to something that might not be something that you're familiar with me writing, but will hopefully enjoy nonetheless.
So what does that look like for you? I mean, is it just something where it just comes natural, where you could just sit at a keyboard and just pump out a script, or do you need to consume any sort of different type of material, or, like what puts you in that mindset to break away from a genre that, you're familiar with and dabble into like uncharted territory?
I consume a decent amount of media, not as much as I probably should. I should probably consume even more. But yeah, I get so caught up in the creative process that I end up just creating a decent amount. But yeah, I do consume media. I consume the shit that people are like, oh, this is really good and new. Like, everybody check this out, right? Like the new Ultimate Spider-Man. A new TV show that everybody's watching, stuff like that. And it just inspires me depending on what it is, and makes me be like, okay, I want to write this, I want to make that, I want to dabble over here, and not necessarily just play with my sci-fi toys all the time. Maybe I want to get a cool vampire or something, or maybe I want to get like a sexy exorcist or something, going back to the Exorcist Club. Whatever it is, sometimes variety is the spice of life. So I like to switch it up and do different things, and hopefully just make something that's good. And I have a wide variety of tastes. If you ask me my favorite movies, it isn't just going to be 3 sci-fi movies. It's going to be there's going to be like things like Chinatown. There will be a sci-fi movie in
Give
there.
us the other 2. You might as well. Come on.
Chinatown, Interstellar, and this one, it always changes to the third one. Probably right now is Across the Spider-Verse, or Into the Spider-Verse. Like that was really so hit home recently. But yeah, so I just like a variety of things. So it just ends up coming out of my work. We'll get a variety of different things, and it just so happened to be that I started off with sci-fi, right? Like I wrote the Saturn Effect, and then I wrote the Saturn Effect Alpha, and then I wrote Control Z. Soma City, I feel like is a noir, which is another book that I put out, but a lot of people read that as sci-fi also. So it just so happened that that's just what had come out, and there were other things there were other things that I created in between that just didn't end up coming to Kickstarter or actually getting finished, and that's part of the work that goes unseen. A lot of the time, you're working out different things, and sometimes you switch up exercises.
We're not bringing up sci-fi anymore in this. I feel like that word right there is just doing something to you, so we're just eliminating it from the conversation. Okay. So another thing, before we get into the campaign and Control Z, obviously, you've just like exploded like on Twitter with just advice, marketing. I think it's safe to say even a year ago when we first met, your marketing was pretty on point. With the way you would just post pages and like, would you buy this comic? And then we seen that just took off. Like other people were doing it and implementing it. What is I guess like working the best for you in terms of bringing new backers, new viewers to your campaigns and to your books?
So I think definitely been getting a little spicy on Twitter. Actually, I think Twitter may it's good for attraction if you can get it, but for a lot of people it's difficult to get traction. Even myself, the traction that I get now isn't the same as a year ago or 2 years ago. So it's important to like remember that you need to like have multiple sources of places to push people towards your project. Like I use Reddit, I'll use TikTok, I'll use Instagram, and Facebook, and that's other ways to like generate traction and push people towards your books. But I've also been really relying on Kickstarter to find new audiences, and that's part of why I started to step out of sci-fi, because not everybody likes sci-fi. So if you're a creator that's like, okay, I have my audience, maybe you've done 5 or 6 issues of, or somewhere between 2 and 6 issues of some specific book that you know gained an audience and got traction for, but you know, maybe you're a little stagnant and you're not really finding those new customers anymore. You know, that's a perfect time to, you know, hit them with a spin-off that has a different genre twist, or do something completely different that can allow you to bring new people, not just to yourself, but to your old work, and start to like branch out outside of just, you know, whatever you may be known for right now. And I think you can see that like there's definitely been a growth with everything, because I was able to step out and find new audiences that didn't just like that title, they actually like what I was putting out, and so they're going to come and follow me to my other things that I put out previously, and new projects as well. And you can see that with Control-Z. The Control-Z is actually the project I launched first last year, and it was also the first project that I had done outside of the Saturn Effect, right? And so I had run 4 Saturn Effect campaigns, and then I did Control-Z 1 and 2, and it introduced me to a new audience, even though it was in sci-fi. But then I was able to do it, that just built the groundwork for when I put out I Summoned the Demon. I was able to bring some of my old fans that loved the stuff that I was doing, and then new people that were like, oh, this is a really cool idea. And now I'm doing Control-Z 1 through 3, and those people that I found from those other books, you know, and those other campaigns that may have gotten back material like Control-Z 1 and 2, are like, okay, now I'm here for you when you're doing your next campaign, because I'm a fan of you and I'm also a fan of the series. And it really is just like a snowball effect, and you just like continue to grow and continue to accumulate and you know, just put out work. And that's also why I'm a big fan of the going wide with Kickstarter, right? And like having multiple series, because you get to cross-pollinate all of those different audiences in a very much like, you know, our friend Pat Shand, who is, you know, really, really good at that. But you could also go a more vertical route with it too, like Charlie Stickney started off doing, where he did like a bunch of White Ashes before he started to spin off, you know, doing Galarian or other series like, you know, his college series and the game and things like that. So there's a lot of ways to approach it and to gain traction and to get your projects to do, you know, closer to the numbers that I'm sure everybody wants to do on Kickstarter. And I'm not there yet. I'm obviously still getting there, but there's just like a lot of strategies that you can implement. And yeah, I've been a little bit more vocal on Twitter about these things. I've been a little bit more spicy, but you know, I've always
being all bashful.
Yeah, I've always been a little spicy. I'm not gonna lie, but I think Twitter's also changed. The comic community has changed a little bit. I think people were a little bit softer last year and previous years, and I don't know. I think maybe a lot of those people that, you know, couldn't really take sort of more of like, you know, at the end of the day, there's competitive aspects to making comic books and making comic books on Kickstarter. So, and you know, I've realized that, you know, a lot of the people that are vocal on Twitter and things like that will give bad advice, or they don't give advice that's practical, but like that will help people be able to get to where they want to be. Or they'll sugarcoat things, and I'm not really here to sugarcoat anymore. You know,
I really loved you had a piece of advice recently about doing updates and not having like 65 campaigns in there because people don't scroll in. When I read that, I was like, dude, he's absolutely right. Like every time I get an email like that, I'll read the first couple of lines, but if it's just if you see that little scroll bar and it's like super inky small, and you're like, dude, this is going to be like an hour to go through. I don't have time to do that. Like, you know, and that's like with a lot of stuff I do. I try to keep these shows like under an hour, you know, around 30 to 45, because it's more digestible. So like you saying that, like, I think that was what, like yesterday or 2 days, like a few days ago. Yeah. And, you know, that advice. I also love the antagonistic side of it, I guess, like where, you know, we were talking backstage how you're like, you know, if stuff's not working, you know, you really need to look at yourself and reflect on what you're doing. And I think that's a big thing, is having accountability on how you're marketing, on how you're creating, on like what you're doing, the product you're, you know, where that product's going. It's all like in the hand of you. Like you hold the key to that. You just need to find the door to open it.
No, absolutely. Very well said. And yeah, it really is in your hands. And I think people just need to know that more. And yeah, maybe it's a little antagonistic. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that now, because
he's like, I can't believe you just called me that.
No, it's not. You're right, because I get subtweeted a lot more now. I get people be hating on me, but that's okay. Like I'm not here to be everybody's favorite anymore. I'm here to do my thing, and you either support it or you don't. And if you want to talk shit, talk shit. If you want to be mad about me saying the truth, then I mean, really be mad and stay where you're at, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to improve. And that's okay, because, you know, at the end of the day, like if you don't want to get better, then nobody wants you to get better. Then, like, if you're not, nobody wants what you're doing if you're not going to get better. Like, you want to improve, you want to keep pushing to the next level. And that's what I'm trying to do. I don't think I'm perfect. I don't think I'm the best. I think I'm doing my thing, and I think I'm better than I was last year. I was better than the year before that. I was better.
That's all that matters.
Before that, and that is all that matters. And you know, like, yeah, and so even though these things are competitive, you're also, you know, your main competition is yourself. Obviously, I totally agree with that. But that doesn't mean that there's no other people in the space that are also
The Twitter ops.
There's no ops, or just people on Kickstarter. If you look at Kickstarter, one of my recent tweets is, you know, there's so much money on Kickstarter right now. And you know, like, yes, there's a lot of money to go around, but it's still a finite amount. And people want to do a certain amount on Kickstarter. People want to make a certain amount for their book so that they can keep making it. Maybe make a second series, you know, feel secure that they can make it for years to come. And to do that, you need to be able to realize that you need to improve certain things, and that some people are offering things that customers want more than yours, and that's totally okay. And you just want to improve it, find something that people really want, you know, or make your art better, make your story better, make your marketing better, like get better rewards, and start to level up. And you know, one of the best ways to push yourself and get better than how you were before is to push yourself to be better than other people that are around you too. And hopefully that'll push them to do better. And that's also one of the things that why I'm being antagonistic, because I feel like a lot of everybody wants to be buddy, and like, no, I'm glad we can be buddy, but you also need rivals. You also need people that you think like, oh, they're making great work, I want to make better work. And that doesn't mean that they're like, you don't want them to do well, because it's pushing you to do better. Like,
no, I get it.
Yeah, for sure. Like our mutual friend Stokes, like I want Stokes to do better because that'll make me want to do better. You know, I want you to make comics and smoke me on Kickstarter because that'll make me want to do better on Kickstarter. Like these are like this. It's supposed to make you feel more like, okay, let's get it, let's go do it. And if it discourages you, then maybe like fields like this aren't for you. You know, or it's just like this is not what you're like how you want to approach comics, and that's okay. But once you start to want to make money, or you want to get a lot of readers, you have to realize that, it's a space with other people that want the same exact thing.
And you got to be hungry for it. It's almost like the same thing with podcasting. When I first started out, there were several podcasts, and several of them were way bigger than me. And I'm like, I want to be the best. I want to be number one. So like, I did interviews every single day. No one else was doing it. So every single day, sometimes 2-3 times a day. And I made myself like be known in the scene. Like I brute forced my way through that door. And I think if you want something bad enough, you have to be prepared to do that. You have to be prepared to sacrifice like that free time. You have to be hungry. And like you said, you got to be competitive to a degree, because it's easy to want to create when you're happy. When you're not feeling it, that's when it counts. That's when you need to muster it up. We have BMD Nerd. I hate when a Kickstarter creator sends an update to all 50 of their past campaigns. Now I have 1 million emails. I think there's a thing, isn't there? Backer Kit or something where it'll like not do that. Yeah.
So what people would do for the longest time was, if you have a new campaign, you go back to all your other ones and put, oh, we just launched.
Yeah.
So if you have one of those really awesome backers that has backed 5, 10, 15 of your campaigns, they hate you so much. So yeah, a lot of people have switched to Backer Kit and sending one large email that has all of your backers in one space, to limit that. And I think any creator that has done multiple campaigns, even more than one, and wants to sort of mobilize their past audience, definitely to get onto Backer Kit launch and to use it, because it's a really powerful tool that will help you have the best first day possible, which is one of the most important things when it comes to having a successful campaign on Kickstarter.
And Backer Kit, if you're watching, ample opportunity, feel free to sponsor the stream. Let's get this party started. We're going to be pulling up the campaign for Control Z issue 1 through 3. So let me get that popped up, and then I'm going to ask you to give us the breakdown on it, what the story's about, what we can expect from it, and then we're going to dive in through this. So what exactly is Control Z? What type of universe and world can we expect?
All right, so Control Z is set in a simulation called Cyberscape, and we follow a sentry named Eidolon as she's trying to discover the mystery behind disappearances in the simulation. So it's reminiscent of stories like Ready Player One and The Matrix, but it's its own fresh twist and spin on these ideas of identity, virtual reality, technology, class, and all these different themes that are just wrapped up in this really fast-paced, really action-heavy book with amazing art by Riccardo Secchi and Marcos Martins, and some really awesome covers like the variant by DC Comics Chuma Hill. And this is issue 3. This is issue 3. We're coming back after a year with this really awesome climactic issue that I think everyone's going to really enjoy. One of the things about Control Z is every issue is climactic and ends in a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
But this is no exception to it. So you get a really heavy hitting the story to really dive into, and it's a pretty decently long issue with a couple backup stories that give you some more ideas on the theme and the backstory and the whole world. And yeah, so if you want a book that's just gonna you're gonna sit down, you're gonna have this crazy experience cover to cover, and then you're gonna look up afterwards and be like, holy shit, what the hell did I just read? That was insane. That you can have this, and or if you want something that will really make you slow down and think and go back and figure out, okay, what did this mean? Where is this coming from? What themes are we playing with here? Then it's got that for you too. There's I know there's a lot of mystery and things that will hopefully give it a lot of rereadability if you want to really dive into it and find every little bit that I put in. But also if you just want to look at the main villain, the admin, as much as possible. I mean, she's in all 3 issues so far, so that's exactly what you'll get. So
is there any special analog between Control Z and the real life world? Any special, I guess, connection or meaning? How the Matrix has something like that where for its creators it was if I'm not mistaken about being trans, it was kind of like an analog or I can't think of the word right now. It's on the tip of my tongue. I'll figure it out after the interview, but it was like within itself, kind of meaning for that. Is there anything similar for Control Z?
So there isn't necessarily a whole this is a secret message about this for this book, but there are a lot of different themes and questions that are being asked that will make you rethink and dig deeper into the meaning of what these things are, right? One of the big ideas in Control Z is this idea of identity and what it means to be you, because all these characters are have a virtual self and then a real self. So it's diving into what it means to be you as a person, and what it means to be you. Are you your memories? Are you your actions? Are you the people around you? What does it mean to be Cody? What does it mean to be Chris? What does it mean to be Idolin? Or what does it mean to be the admin? These are all sort of ideas that we're sort of playing around with in Control Z, that you can. And do I prescribe an actual answer to it? I guess you're just gonna have to figure it out, read it and find out. But it definitely raises the question for people to chew on and to really think about if they want to, or they could just sit back and watch the crazy sci-fi action. And that's what I think is really good about things like the Matrix, but also this book Control Z, is that there are those layers for you to delve into and hopefully find some extra meaning and purpose and, I don't know, fun, I guess, enjoyment. And yeah, I mean, I was an English major, so it's impossible for me not to, secretly kind of code some ideas and some questions into it. I mean, that's just what I spent a lot of money for. So it just is what it is.
And as we go through these preview pages, just everything about them is so visually striking. Your panel layouts are the farthest thing from a traditional comic book I've ever seen. Right here, I love how we have this quarter splash, and then you have these panels just broken up right here. It's just so intricate and just, I mean, you could spend minutes, 15 minutes, half an hour just looking at a page and just looking at all the detail. What's your script writing process for these type of stories?
So, it definitely depends on the artist. With Control Z and Riccardo Secchi, I would do a very traditional comic book script, and then I'd include references to give him an idea of okay, this is what I'm thinking, this is what kind of shot I'm vibing with. And then it's just allowing your artist to do their thing. Riccardo is an amazing artist. He's like obviously he's really goddamn good. So it's like giving him the freedom to be like, okay, you know what, maybe we take out this panel, maybe we tilt this, maybe we do all these different changes. And it's just being like, you know, yes, and like let's make it as good as possible. And I'm trying to put my artists in the best position to succeed, you know. So like I said, with this, it's references and a traditional script, but you know, something like the Saturn Effect, I'd give Mazzoli a very Marvel-like screenplay script and let him figure what he wanted to do for the panels layouts out. So it really just depends on what you think is the best for the book. And that's also one of the reasons why I love to do so many projects, because I get to work with so many artists that have all these great ideas and, you know, end up like really loving the work just as much, or if not more than I do already. And that's a really gratifying experience when it comes to finally getting the final work and seeing the pages and being like, wow, you know, the team really took my vision and made it our vision and made it really something special to look at and hopefully hold in everybody's hands.
You know, and just the caliber of like talent, like this, like this panel, like how it's not only like angled, but it's tilted. Like it's like it's like, and then the way it's designed, it just looks so perfect. And like, I'm not an artist by any means, but I can only imagine like drawing something like 2D right here and then making it almost look 3D with the panel. That has to be challenging to some degree.
Oh, I'm sure. I know Ricardo is like does his thing. He does his absolute thing, and he's a master of the craft, you know. And that's what a lot of these artists are. They have full mastery of, you know, all the fundamentals. And then they've studied a long time to really get to where they are. And then not only did they study, they've done practice. Like this isn't Ricardo's first book. This is multiple books in for him now. And, you know, he just gets better every page. And once we get to the next, well, we're already working through issue 4 now, and it's even better.
Is there no rewards on the side? Is everything like kind of included just scrolling down?
No, there is. I'm not sure why it's not showing up.
Yeah, that's weird. Let's go ahead and refresh that. I'm like trying to scroll it. I'm like, where'd it go?
Yeah, there should be.
Oh, they're not. Yeah, it didn't load for me.
I guess they're not loading for you. You could hit rewards maybe if you want to show them next to campaign.
Oh yeah. So I was gonna do that. Are all the rewards in this then?
Well, yeah.
Okay, yeah. No harm, no foul then. So we can get cover A for $20, and this is gonna be the physical copy.
Yes.
So who are we seeing on this cover? These look like 2 interesting characters.
So these are 2 characters that we get introduced to in issue 2, and we get to see them in action in issue 3. The red-haired one is Hamera, and the gold-haired dude is Nereus. And they're both sentries, and they have the task of guarding this thing called the source, or the source code for the simulation. And they have to protect it from people like the admin. And you know, will they succeed? I guess you have to read issue 3 to find out. And yeah, they're badasses, and they have some really cool abilities too. One of the really awesome things with Control-Z is all of the sentry characters. Well, every character can or has some access to the ability to code and to edit the simulation. So that allows for some really cool quote-unquote powers, and allows for these characters to really express themselves through those powers. Not everyone's going to code the same things. One character might code guns, another character might code like electric snakes like Nereus does, or maybe like a cyber Grim Reaper or something like that.
Okay.
You can see on the preview pages. So you know, everybody has their different power sets, and that's based off their imagination and their character. And yeah, it makes for a really awesome action-packed and really dope fight scenes that you'll have galore in issue 3.
So we have the cover B and cover C here. It looks like cover C is a little not safe for work.
Yeah, there's some spicy options here if you're into that kind of thing. One of the ways that you can you know, increase your margins on Kickstarter is to offer things like this. And I mean, it's not necessary. I think you can also get you can have really successful campaigns with not safe for work, you know, like with just great art and great premise. But one way to help, you know, increase your margin some, maybe make covers more profitable, is to do things like a not safe for work variant where it makes sense, you know. Dario Marconi is actually the artist for the Exorcist Club, so it's really awesome to get him on some other Red Sea comic projects while we're in between, you know, in between campaigns.
Yeah. And then we have cover D and E right here. Loving this cast of characters. You have so many unique, you know, appearances and names. I'm curious, how do you come up with these names? Like, I was reading it and I'm like, man, these names are complex.
Yeah, so it really depends on the book and just the vibe. I think, you know, here there's sort of a certain vibe going on with certain characters. So on this cover D by Ray Sama, these are characters from one of the shorts that's in the back of Control Z that you'll get if you either get the digital deluxe or the physical issue, which is set in the past. Actually, it's called Syntax, and it follows this character Z and Idolin as a child, while they're fighting two other characters that we meet, Lynx and Buffalo. And so, yeah, there's just when you read it, you'll see that those names have correlations with each other. Lynx and Buffalo are old members of a group called the Script Kiddies that we see in Control Z 1, 2, and 3 that's now run by Puma, Mallard, and Badger. So they all have animal names. And so that like gives you an idea of like, oh, okay, these are who they are, and this is who they're associated with. And you know, a lot of the sentries names are like Greek Roman gods type that will like give you an idea of like who they are too, and like link them all together. So yeah, but it depends. Like whatever the vibe is how I usually come up with names. And sometimes the name will just hit, and sometimes it fits the world, and sometimes it's just like, all right, this is just the character's name.
Then we have cover F and G as well. And this was from the DC artist, right?
Yeah, correct.
How's that feel? Is that like your first time having like a big two artist like work on a cover?
Yes, this is probably the biggest name that we've gotten so far, and I mean, he killed it. It came out so amazing. I mean, I love it. I think a lot of people enjoy it. We have metal options for it, if anybody wants to partake in that. And yeah, I mean, it's a really freaking nice looking cover, and I think you can look out for bigger names coming to projects in the near future.
How's that feel? That has to be like you know what I mean? Like if there was anything for me to kind of have like a mark where it's like I'm heading in the right direction, it would probably be that, like getting like just big huge names on projects. And like you know, obviously, you know, it's different when it's just like a collaboration, like, you know, like they hit you up like, hey, can I do this for you? But like still, like even getting them to agree to like do something for your project just has to be that little like, yes, like I'm here, I'm in the zone.
It definitely feels great. I mean, for sure. And you know, but a lot of these artists, you know, if you have the capital, you know, if you just send them a message, they'll happily oblige, especially if they like your project. I got lucky that I put together a great team. And they made a really awesome looking product, so that if I show it to somebody, they'll be like, hell yeah, I want to draw a cover. And then it's also giving these these bigger name artists the freedom to do their thing. I hit up Schumann. I was like, yo, I love your work. Can you please do a cover? You can literally do whatever you want. Here are the 3 issues.
That's crazy. They came out with this,
and that's what he came out with, and that's like what I really enjoy. So sometimes if an artist wants direction, like you definitely can give it to them, but a lot of the time, like these artists that you see at these big companies are there for a reason, and they have great eyes for composition, they have great minds for composition, and you know, it's best to just let them do their thing, if that's what they you know thrive doing. And it's like I said, it's like to get the best product, you want to put your artist in the best you know, possible position to do that. And part of that is like giving them freedom when they need it and giving them guardrails when they need it.
And then we have cover H as well at 35, another not safe for work cover. This is just as gorgeous too. I mean, I'm just loving like the detail. I mean, and talking about issue 3, I had the chance to read that. Thank you so much for sending that to me. It's already done, so no worries about that if you guys are listening and concerned about that. It felt like issue 3 just like you get more like intricate, like with not only your script, but like just like the design and the action. It just feels like every issue is just like, I wouldn't say better because they're all really good, but it just seems like you're adding more experience to your craft.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it's important to know actually that I wrote Control Z years ago now. I've written a lot of things since, and as I was writing it, I felt like I was getting progressively better. And obviously, we've gone back and changed things and improved. But yeah, I think you can definitely see some improvement as things goes on. And I mean, I think that's just storytelling too. Great storytelling ramps up. it gets more exciting, it gets a little bit more complex, and it gets a little bit crazier. And like I said, every issue ends with a cliffhanger, and 3 is no exception. And it sets up for an even crazier 4. We're trying to kick it up. And by the time you read issue 4, I want everybody to be like, what the goddamn fuck did I just read, Chris Moses? What the hell? Give me more. And and hopefully that's what we'll get. But yeah, I'm always trying to improve and kick it up a notch. And that's what everybody should do. Try get that extra rep.
And then, I mean, these books are big. This is like, what, double the size of a traditional comic?
Correct.
Like, whew, I love that. Is that going to be something that you continue with further issues in the series?
So there's one more issue in Control Z there, and that is already a longer issue. It's the longest of the 4, and then it will also have a backup story as well that will make it even longer. And so yeah, I mean, it depends. It really depends on the story. Sometimes I think a story will need some more to it, and other times it doesn't. The Exorcist Club was 24 pages. It was I wouldn't say short. It's like still a little bit longer than a normal comic book, but it's concise and it gets you to point A and point B. And but like something like Control Z is a little bit longer and lets you linger in some places and also has the backup stories. And it just depends on what the story needs. If the story needs to be 20 pages, then it's 20 pages. If it needs to be 40 pages, then it's 40 pages. And that's just what it is. And it lets everything like breathe and lets everything be its own product. Not everything needs to be cookie cutter like every Red Sea comic needs to be 22 pages or everyone needs to be 40.
So we have an opportunity to also buy some original pages. I don't see a price on this. How much is this tier?
Well, this was actually sold immediately. So it's marked at 425. If for some reason this backer decides to drop, then maybe the opportunity will arise again. But for now, this is unavailable. And
this is sick too.
It's super sick. This is the cover of issue 3. And that's just a little bit more of an incentive to get to my products a little bit faster. Sign up for the pre-launch. Make sure you're there on day 1 because, we'll have these original pages or we'll have an original cover. But we only have one. They're original. They're traditional. They're hand drawn, and they come directly from the artist, and they're one of a kind. So it's first come, first serve, and it gives people the chance to have something really, really awesome. So if you want to be one of those lucky people that have a cover of Control Z, currently the only 2 people that have one is the lucky backer that has backed this, and myself. So if you want to have the Control Z4 cover, make sure to follow me and get ready to click the open campaign button when we launch, because there will be one more cover available. The very last cover for Control Z will be available on the issue 4 campaign. So if you want stuff like that, make sure to get there early, and we'll have more original pages on other campaigns as we go along. But just one more from Control Z, hopefully sometime within the next year.
And then we have a crossover print with Cheeky Comics as well. Is this going to be something where they can back this as well, or is this going to be given out to backers?
So you can add this as an add-on. There's a safe for work and a not safe for work. We are only selling the admin side, so it's a 2-side print. You'll get the left side if you back it here. The right side was part of Pat Shan's Cheeky Comics Annual 2024, which just ended. So if you weren't able to get the other side then before, it's unavailable now, unfortunately. But you can still get the admin side, and maybe Pat will bring it back in the future for people to get their hands on.
And not a bad price either. $5 for the safe for work, 10 for the spicy. I mean, some reasonable prices there. Let's go ahead and check out these add-ons. So you can get issue 1 of the Exorcist Club as well. How much is the price on that?
It is 15, I think. I don't know. I have to look.
Yeah, for our audio listeners, for whatever reason, Kickstarter did not fully load on my end. So like, where there would normally be a tier with the prices listed on the right, it just, for whatever reasons, like, you guys are trying to have a good show, let me do my best to kind of just try to derail that. So we also have Red Sea Legends, which is based off of the trading card game as well. How much is that title going to cost?
I believe it's 12 a copy. You're putting me on the spot, man.
I'm sorry.
I have to look. But we just a quick quick on this one. They're not available on this campaign, but we did actually make cards to go with Red Sea Legends. It is an actual playable card game that people can enjoy. So maybe we'll bring these back in the future, and so definitely keep an eye out for that.
And we talked before about getting together and doing a card show. We got to do that. Like, I have my deck on played. I'm ready to throw down.
Let's do it.
Let's make it happen sometime. Everyone watching, right here is the Kickstarter link. Be sure to check this out, and it's 100% free to share this. Sharing is caring. Put it on Twitter, Facebook, anywhere you could put a link. Tell your friends to come back this project, and you know, let's make this camp. I mean, dude, you're at what, 12,000 right now? Like, holy crap! Is this one of the higher campaigns for you?
This is, I think we're trending towards it being the second best campaign that we've had. I can't. What is it at right now? I don't know.
You were at.
We've gotten a couple backers while
almost 12,500 almost. Damn.
Yeah. So right now we are. It looks like $24 away from this being the second best campaign that I've had.
Congratulations! What was that first?
I summoned a demon.
Okay. do you credit that to like expanding that, like, you know, your
100%.
Yeah.
I think and that's actually, we finished the art on that a couple days ago, so that is going to be going out very, very soon, and I think we're gonna have an interesting time when people actually get to read it. I'm super excited about that project. It's one of my favorite titles that I've written. So but yeah, it has had a huge effect on my career for sure. I mean, I think there's still a bunch of backers that have come from that, or that have come from the Exorcist Club, and like I said, it's really important to you know, be trying to find new audiences, and one of the best ways to do it is to put out a new title that people really enjoy and cross-pollinate with your old stuff.
That is awesome. So for anyone who's watching, might be on the fence about backing this, what would you like to say to them?
Don't be. Bag it. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, what are you doing with that money? You don't need to eat this week.
Yeah, right. I mean, Control Z is a really awesome book, really amazing art, really great team, really fast-paced, interesting story that'll leave you with a lot to think about, and also a lot to look at. And so if you're a big fan of sci-fi and action and want something new and fresh to jump into, then it's the perfect book for you.
I love that. And you've been on the show before, you know the drill. I always like asking for a little bit of advice for anyone out there listening who might be interested in doing better. And then, you know, we end the show with what you're consuming outside of creating. So let's do a little bit different for anyone out there who wants to do multiple series. Like someone like me, like you don't even have a book, you have a couple scripts, and you want to dabble. What would be your biggest piece of advice? Because it just seems like as a writer starting out, you don't have guardrails, right? You just have a blank canvas and like, I can go anywhere I want to with this. So for that writer in particular, what would be your biggest piece of advice to them?
Well, I think one of the great things about just starting off is you can do whatever you want. You know, and I still feel like I can do that. And somebody that's just starting out can definitely do that. People don't really have an expectation yet. They just want you to do your best and do something that you're really proud of. So one of the best advice is just to do it. If you want to make something new, make another series. If you have a new story, a new character that you're like, oh, I really like this, I'm really motivated to get this down, follow it, do it, and you know, make as much stuff as you can if that's what you want to do. And yeah, if you want to like put it on Kickstarter, it's totally viable to do multiple different series to start off with, because every series is going to have a different ceiling and a different floor for how well it's going to do, right? Every series is going to have its own audiences and its own, you know, fans and people and supporters that want to come back for it. So it's important to know that just like you could have a really awesome idea and maybe it doesn't really resonate with people. You could still do that idea, but maybe you want to do another idea that resonates with people. And so you should follow that also and just do it. Don't be too afraid to take chances, and just follow your gut. Because that's all the times where I felt like I didn't follow my gut, I've always been like, damn, I should have. When I was like, I felt like right now I feel like I should have done more new projects instead of doing as many Saturn effects as I did in a row. And so it's really just like, if your instincts are telling you to go in a certain direction, if your instincts are saying, hey, I really want to write a fantasy book, I really need to write a really gory, fantasy somethings espionage book. Write it right now. Get it. Don't even.
That sounds like it'd be really good. Is that something you got brewing up in the behind the scenes?
I just threw 3 words together.
It works.
Basically ChatGPT, but yeah, it's like just throw things together, make use your imagination, And when I was a kid, I used to really enjoy doing imagination games because I'm a fucking loser. But like kids would be playing sports on the playground, and I'd be with my group of friends, and we just like being kids. And it reminds me, doing different series reminds me of that. Brings me back to that time. And sometimes you want to play with a different toy from the toy store. You go to Toys R Us and you pick out a different action figure than the one that you had. And if you want that, do that. But if you don't, maybe you want the same, Pokemon figurines that you had before, get those. But really the best advice is just follow your gut, do as best as you can, try and make it better than the last thing that you made, and then do it again.
So young Chris Moses at the supermarket, you have $20 to spend. What toy are you getting first?
It depends on how old I am, but immediately Beyblade came to mind.
Transformers. When you were talking about that, I just remember having this crazy collection of Transformer toys, and they were so cool. It was like, I remember Beast. It was Beast Wars in their prime. Going back to watch it now, it's like horrific. I want to vomit. I'm like, oh my god, this is. I've been like spoiled, but. I mean, Transformers were just like, oh god, I remember going to a show and tell with a Rat Trap, and I'm like, it's my Transformer. So outside of creating, what are you consuming? What TV shows? I know you said you should read more books, but any books that you are reading, like, what are you checking out?
What am I checking out right now? I'm reading the new Ultimate line. It's definitely a lot of hype in it from the industry, from the direct market, from Marvel. So. I've been checking that out. I feel like it's always important to see what people are into, see what people are really messing with and really fucking with, because it'll inform you on what's popular and what readers are looking for. Otherwise, there's probably been way too much like garbage reality TV and shit like that I've watched. And,
ooh, what is it? What is it?
No, I can't even. But like, I'm also like, I'm like the youngest millennial, like oldest Gen Zer, so there's definitely way too much TikTok that's been being consumed also on my end too.
It's something about those reality shows where you just watch people just like self-destruct, and it like makes you feel better about yourself. And maybe that's like ruthless of me to acknowledge like out loud, but like I'll be watching like a Hoarders episode, and like I just get the urge to fucking clean. I'm like, I need to get this done right now.
Yeah. I definitely, I don't think that I'm better than people when I watch it, but it's really cathartic to see other people's drama that I'm not part of.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that it makes me feel better. It just makes me feel better about what I'm dealing with. Because I'm like, okay, well, my stuff's bad, but it could be worse.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
So with that being said, it is time for us to wrap up. Guys, once again, right here is the link. You got about 45 hours to back it before a couple of these things will be vaulted forever, right? Or at least until you open those gates.
Yeah, very true. Some things may not come back.
So hop on it while you still can. With that being said, I hope you all have a fantastic Tuesday. Happy Valentine's Day tomorrow as well. So make sure you throw a heart on this video. With that being said, it's time to wrap up. Have a good one. And most importantly, keep it geekly.